Hey y'all, it's Bailey. Welcome back to the channel and thank you so much for tuning in for a video that's going to be all about my extensions. And you might be looking at my hair like, you have like mid-length hair with no sign of an extension. They are tape-ins and I have been wearing them for about 6 months at this point just for volume. If you've been with me for the past couple months, you might remember back in June when I first got them, July favorites, I had mentioned really enjoying them, but I wanted to, there's a maintenance process that I'll talk about later in the video that I wanted to go through once at this There's a maintenance process that I wanted to go through once. At this point I've done it twice now, and I wanted to just do that just so I could kind of give you the full lowdown from the time you get them first installed to basically when you take them out. So let's go ahead and dive in. So the brand of extension that I have is called Vomor. I got them professionally installed by a hairstylist. I live in Austin. If you are local as well, it's at Happy Salon and Spa. They're amazing, highly recommend them. I heard about them through a coworker and I was looking for a new hairstylist in town and I was contemplating extensions, so I happened to go to their website and I found that they carried this brand. I found out about the brand through the salon, but once I researched the Vomor brand a little bit more, I found out that they are meant specifically for what I'm looking for, which is additional fullness. There are two lengths that you can purchase, 12-inch, which I currently have in my hair right now, and it was cut up a little bit when they were first put into my hair, was quite a bit shorter actually. And then there is 16-inch, and as my hairstylist likes to put it, it's mermaid hair. It is like below the pits, mid-boob, I would say. That's kind of the length you're looking at for that, at least on me anyway. It's going to vary depending on the length of your torso, etc., but just, it's long, just so you get the idea. Because at the time I was just looking for volume in what was, you know, a longer bob but shorter than what I currently have right now. My stylist recommended that I go with the 12-inch. She would cut it up, and then basically the way this works is they're tape-in, so they're thin, shorter wefts. I'll show, before I had my last maintenance appointment, I had a few that had fallen out towards the tail end because I might have waited too long, which I'll get into timing and all that later. But I was able to then show you what an actual weft looks like. They're about, you know, 1.5 inches, 2 inches long, very thin. It's what makes them so undetectable in your own natural hair. And basically the two of those, one on top of your natural hair and one below your natural hair, and then they will put a strip of adhesive in between. So that's generally how these tape-in extensions work. We worked out that I needed 2 boxes for my hair. A box sounds very weird, but it's just the units that they come in. You order a box. I'm not sure how many wefts it has inside the box, but given the volume I wanted and the amount of area I wanted for my hair, we decided that that was right for my hair type. I'm thinking of going longer, like doing a 16 and cutting it up a little bit next time, and if that's the case, she's recommending I do 3 boxes, just because the longer the hair gets, the more tapered it gets at the end, and so you really need to add a lot more volume to make your hair, as it's longer, not look kind of stringy and thin, and really achieve not only the look of length but also fullness. So the number of boxes you'll need will just vary according to the look you're after and the length you want. So now let's talk about the installation process. It sounds like we're talking about hardware or something, but you kind of are. So you make your appointment. This will vary, like the time you need to book will vary on the number of boxes you have, I'm sure the length of your hair, the amount of time your stylist feels they need to do the kind of job they want to do. But basically what they need to accomplish in that time is to wash your hair twice, because I think it's with a clarifying shampoo, because the goal of doing this is to strip your hair of any product buildup and any of its natural oils, because all of that will affect the longevity of the adhesive that they use in the tape. So they really want to make sure that your scalp and your hair right next to your scalp is super clean. So they wash your hair twice, then they take you back, they dry your hair, and that's when then they'll start the installation process. And the first time, you know, when you're trying to figure out where exactly you want to place them, that can take some time as well. Then at the end of it all, once your extensions are installed, they might need to cut them. For me, my extensions were a little bit longer than my natural hair, and so just to help them blend, they did some light trimming. But if you have longer extensions, and you know, just depends on the kind of cut and style you want, they might need a little bit more time to do that. So it was a good chunk, like 2 hours the first time I went in, but I think they booked me for 3. So anticipate that the first time you do this. Afterwards, they'll tell you not to wash your hair for the next 48 hours because that will affect the longevity of the adhesive in your tape-in extensions as well. And then they send you away with 2 tools, I guess. One is a brush. This is, and I assume this is with anyone who purchases Vomor products because it's branded Vomor. One's a comb. It's like this wooden or bamboo actually comb to use on your hair when it's wet, and the other is a looped brush. This is called Scalp Master, so I'm not sure if this comes with every Vomor purchase, but it's a loop brush, and they recommend this because it doesn't get caught on the extensions, especially as they grow out. You'll find that it's a little bit easier, you know, your traditional kind of brush with non-loops with the little balls at the end, or just sticks, I guess, can get caught in that tape. Even though you can't see it, it's definitely, you know, you're able to touch it. And so to keep it from snagging, they have these loops, which is very cool. I don't know that even if I don't have extensions in the future, I will always go with a looped brush just because I find it gets less snagged in general. So they do give you 2 of those, along with an instruction sheet that just walks you through, you know, shampoo and conditioning care, how to handle it when it's wet, how to dry it while you're sleeping, and then outdoor activity and swimming. You can swim with these in. They just recommend that you wash your hair right afterwards. Because these are colored, I didn't have to color mine. Right out of the box, they were a good match, but the extensions themselves are colored. In the event you have to color them to match your hair, you just want to make sure you use a color-safe shampoo, and that you wash your hair like you would in general with colored hair right after you get out of the pool or any sort of treated water, just to make sure it doesn't alter the color of your hair. The other instruction here is while you're sleeping to brush your hair before you sleep, put your hair in a braid or a bun or a ponytail, whatever is best for you when you sleep to keep it from getting tangled. I have to say, after the first week, I did not follow that at all. I don't sleep well when my hair is up and like I can feel a ponytail in it, and so I ditched that after the first week. I have not had any trouble with snags, but if you have especially dry hair, especially here going into the winter, and my stylist said that as well, that you might find it as your hair gets drier or more seasonally, you might find that your hair is more prone to tangling, and so it's going to help if you have it up and, you know, together and more confined as you're sleeping and rolling around, and has the potential to get tangled. And that's your first appointment. Then they say between 6 and 8 weeks you need to follow up with a maintenance, where basically it just means your hair has grown, your extensions aren't blending as much. Some of them may have even fallen out just because at that point the adhesive has degraded and one or more of your extensions will have fallen out. So you just need to come back for a little maintenance. That is another good chunk of time though, because they not only need to remove the extensions, but then do the same washing process with your hair, dry it, put the extensions back in your hair, and then go back and do some trimming and styling, because they will have been in a different place in your hair, and your natural hair will be in a different style than it was originally, naturally. So I have to say, I have had these fall out in between appointments, and depending on when they fall out, sometimes my stylist will recommend me come back in and she'll just reinstall it. It's super quick, like if it's one. If it's later on in the term though, I'll just leave it out. They're so natural looking that if I'm missing, you know, one in a random spot, you really can't tell. Like, they're so thin and close to your head, and one weft is just contains so, I mean, it's dense, but just the way they're organized, the hair just lays so naturally that with one missing, you really cannot tell. So I'll just leave it out until the next time I go for my maintenance session. So that's a maintenance session, and they recommend that you have 2 of those before switching out your extensions, like buying a new box, because at that point, you know, your extensions may have faded, the ends may be so ragged, your hair might have grown a lot, and so like what I'm currently going through now, my extensions are actually, I think she said 1/2 inch to 1 inch shorter than my natural hair. They still blend, but it's that magical like third maintenance that you just want to go ahead and swap them out just so you get a refresh with your extensions. As far as what you can do with your hair when they're in, not a whole lot changes. Like I said, you can go swimming. I was a little concerned that outdoor activities might fade, you know, either my hair more, the extensions more. One would change more with exposure to the sun than the other, but it didn't. You know, I can't tell where one ends and the other begins. They just blend still so naturally into each other. And oh, the other thing I guess is, as far as putting your hair up goes, that does become a little bit trickier, because the where she put them on my head, they're right under like kind of my scalp line right here, so that you can't see them at the crown of my head. This is as high as they go, and really just to help add that volume towards the front of my face without being in the front of my face, so that, you know, if I were to pull my hair aside, you can see them. They're right here, and then the rest of them drastically scoot back towards the underside, or like quite close to my neckline. So because of that, it can be a little bit tricky putting your hair in ponytails. I just find though, she and my stylist said you probably won't be able to put your hair in a high bun, but, and you can probably tell, but Frankly, I don't care because I love myself a good high bun. And what's the point of having long hair if you can't do a good high bun? I just use that brush that they give and just make sure and brush it up. And I find that there is enough hair below the extensions that it can really cover those extensions nicely. It takes a little bit more time than just throwing your hair up in a messy bun, but I also find that I'm throwing my hair up a lot less because I finally have hair that like behaves and looks nice and is thick and full and beautiful. So there's that, just something to be aware of. That reminds me, I didn't really talk about why I'm doing this. So if you've been with me here on the channel for a while, you have undoubtedly heard me talk about how thin and fine my natural hair is. Apparently I have a lot, like when I go get it cut, they're like, oh, you have a lot of it. It's just really fine. And it's also naturally stick straight and flat. It doesn't hold style really well, and it's just very underwhelming. Like, it was hard to style, it wouldn't stay even if I did. I felt like it never looked good and was never something I could be confident about. So with these, what I found is it not only helps with the thickness, the fullness, but because the fake hair behaves so much better than my natural hair, it will hold a curl and I'll find that my natural hair follows suit. Like, it kind of trains my natural hair to follow it and stick with it throughout the day. So if you find that your hair is that way as well, don't think that the extensions are gonna stick out on your head because your hair doesn't behave. I actually find that the extensions help shape my hair into the style I want and keep it there throughout the day. Overall, I am beyond happy with them. I recommend the brand Vomor. I recommend my salon, Happy, if you're in Austin. But I do want to talk about price because they are a hefty investment. I chose these over a clip-in. Clip-ins, you know, can run anywhere from 75 to 100 to a couple hundred depending on the quality, the amount of hair, where you get them from, so many different factors. So that's what you're looking for, and it's a one-time sort of thing over the course of anywhere from 6 months to a year to, you know, maybe 2 years depending on how you maintain your extensions. But with those you have to install them every day, and that's a lot of additional weight that I found gave me headaches. I just didn't have the time to not only install them so they look natural, but then go in and style them so they blend in with your natural hair. It's just a lot of daily maintenance that I didn't want to have to put up with. And so these were more maintainable for me on a day-to-day basis when I'm trying to get out the door and to work and not really have to worry about that fuss. But they're more expensive than clip-in extensions. It's going to vary depending on the salon you go to. The boxes are a fixed cost. I asked my stylist if that would change depending on where you go, and she said it shouldn't. It's the salon time that's going to vary. So something to consider if you're thinking of getting these as well. And a lot of salons, at least mine did anyway, will do a consultation, so they'll walk you through all this and they'll tell you how many boxes they think you need, what your maintenance plan would be, all that kind of stuff, because your experience, your, you know, the pricing, all that kind of stuff could be a little bit different, a lot different for you depending on where you are and what your particular hair needs are though. All I can say for me personally though is that I am very happy with them and I'm going to actually be doing them again. I just wanted to share my thoughts and my experience with these because I have so been enjoying them, and ever since I mentioned them a few months ago, a lot of you guys had questions. So I really hope this video was helpful. Definitely leave me questions below if I forgot to answer them, or if you want me to elaborate more on anything, leave them in the comments below. Besides that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye guys!